Welcome back, guys. So this is the, well, I think it's going to be the second build video for this stand-up paddleboard that will be used for a hydrofoil. So this is basically a foil SUP. In the previous video, I showed you how to make a rough blank using EPS foam, gluing in a stringer, shaping it all down, hot wiring it. So in this video, I'm going to actually shape out the profile. So I'm going to template out this board, shape the profile, and then square it all off, then shape the rail bands. And I realized I forgot to shoot the intro, so this board after this intro is going to look slightly different. It'll look like the rough blank, and then I'm going to template it out as I mentioned, and then start shaping it, getting it down into this format that you see here. And yeah, that'll be this video. All right, let's jump into it. I think because of this extra taper in the back here, I'm going to have to trace the template on the deck. Normally you trace it on the bottom. I'm just going to use my pencil to trace out the outline. I was using a marker before. This is a 9B, super soft lead. The lead is so soft that it marks on foam without leaving any indentation. Also, I'll mention a little bit about this profile. As you can see, it is a very, how can I put it? Wide, very full profile. I want to be able to get lots of flotation, and I don't do a lot of stand-up paddling. I have stand-up paddle, and I can stand-up paddle, but combined with a hydrofoil and all that, I figured probably best to start off with a board that's a little wider, and if I like it, I can trim this down eventually. Or not this board, but I can make another one. This tool here is like an edger. It's to make a nice 90-degree block. So when you're shaping your blank, you get a nice 90 before you shape your bands. All I did was I 3D printed basically a right angle. I added a handle to it. Then I glued a piece of rough sandpaper onto it. And then now I can just use it to ride along. And then I'll get a nice square edge. I can also use a square to square this up, so just check it often. Because this is so wide, I gotta do a bunch of stock removal with my G-rasp. So do this until this becomes square. All right, it is time to shape the rail bands now. I'll just mention one thing. One thing I really love about shaping your own boards or making your own boards is you can make them any thickness, shape, size that you want. You are not limited to the availability of blanks. Now, some places like Greenlight will custom make you a blank, but of course that might cost a little bit more. And you know, this is a very unique looking blank, but you can play around when you make your own boards. You can customize to any way you like. And because of the shape and the thickness of this board, and it's going to be used for stand-up paddle boarding for hydrofoil, I'm going to keep the rails, well, chunky. So, just like the prone board that I did a previous build on that's back there. So I'm probably just going to just take off a little bit off the top here, leave the deck nice and flat. So the bottom is probably where it's going to be at. So we're going to leave the rail on the deck. I might just do like 1 inch, maybe 2 inches. So 1 inch for the rail band on the top, 2 inch on the side there for the deck. And then on the bottom, okay. Yeah, this is a thick board. I'm not sure. I might do 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches on the rail, 1.5 inches on the bottom, and that'll leave me with a real nice hard edge. That's probably, I want a hard edge. From the research that I've done and all the videos I've watched, I'm probably gonna go with that so it'll release, water will release from that edge really well, especially if we're trying to get this board out of the water. The tail, I have a real big kick back there because that'll be good for pumping the board. Not so great for speed and for someone learning, but I'm hoping that that'll work out. We'll see. I have my prone board to practice on too to learn. So with the SUP might be okay. And then once that's shaped, then it's going to shape the bottom, and I might do that in the next video, shaping a concave. I haven't done that in a while in some of my videos, so maybe I'll make a separate video on shaping the concave on this, because it'll be flat in the center for the rail box in the rear, and then it'll be just flat and then dual concaves on either side, and that'll help with tracking when you're stand-up paddle boarding this. Yeah, I think that'll be it. That's kind of the design of this board. I don't know if it'll work or not, but it's part of the fun. Marking rail bands, there's a couple guides out there. Look up on Greenlight Surf Supply. They have a really great guide. I'm just going to go over very quickly what I do from, like, now I have enough experience shaping so many boards that I just kind of wing it. I kind of know from experience how thick I want my board to be, and then I kind of just start, and then I remove material as I need to. So I'm going to go 1 foot back from the nose. I'm going to do 1 inch here, and then my rail band's just going to flow, because we want lines to flow on a surfboard. We don't need weird lines. We don't want any like jaggedy waves in our rail. So it's better to not like be so pedantic and so concerned with marking out your rail bands perfectly. It's better to just keep them even. So I'm doing 1 inch here, 1 foot back. The midpoint, I'm going to go. At the midpoint, I'm going to go 1.5. Pardon me, 1.25. Let me see. I'm going to go like that, and then that'll be in like that. I'm going to try 1.25 first. Change my mind. Something like that, and then 1 foot from the back on the tail. Let me move the camera. So at the 1 foot mark at the rear, I'm going to go 1 inch as well. So I'm just going to mark the rest of the board here. I'm going to do 1 inch here. I might have to adjust this because this is going to be a pretty beefy rail, but that's okay. And then at the midpoint, I'm going to do 1.25 as well. I like to think that I pioneered this technique a little bit, but maybe I didn't. Regardless, as you can see, my dowel here has a lot of wear on it. I've been using this for, well, many boards and many years. And I'm just going to kind of line it up roughly where I want my rail bands to flow, where I want to remove material. I'm going to line up on point 1, midpoint. I'm just going to run my pencil along this because I know I want this band to just flow all the way out to the tail. Move my weight, come back here, just hold it here. And that kind of gives me my first rail band. I'll mark the nose here in a second, but you can kind of get an idea what I've done there. Same thing for the nose. I'm going to connect this. I'm just going to really curve this nose here up like that. That's what I want done. So I'm just going to draw it like that. So for the bottom rail, I'm going to do on the rail part 1 1/4, and I'll do like, probably do like, I'll do 1 inch as well. Keep it even. And then same thing, 1 foot back from the tail. And then on the bottom, I'm going to do 1 1/2. I'll do like 1 inch back here, maybe. Yeah, that'll do. And then up here at the nose, same thing, 1 inch. All right, time to take down the foam. I'm just going to plane it down and then just sand it and then blend all the rails together. Alright, I just took down the foam roughly, actually fairly close to my lines. One thing I love using a power planer now is taking foam off is so quick and easy. If you don't shape many boards and you don't have a planer, well, you know, you can make do without. But if you plan on doing any amount of shaping, yeah, I highly, highly recommend getting a power planer. Even a cheap one will work just fine to get you into doing it and getting used to it. You can get fancy ones that that you can adjust the blade really quickly, so it goes from a full cut to a minor to not a very deep cut with just like 1/4 of a turn or half a turn. All right, now that I have the rail bands all marked out and I have the main part of the foam planed off, I'm going to just slightly round the bottom, and then later in another video I'm going to shape the concave. But on the deck, I'm going to round that off a bit, and that'll be it for this. I might take this down a little bit more because this rail is pretty chunky. But again, it's a stand-up paddleboard. I just need to make sure that this performs adequate, but I don't need it to be the most high-performing board. I need to basically keep me afloat or act as a vehicle for the foil. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this edge on the deck here and blend that all in. All right, so while looking at how I'm shaping this board, I think I've mentioned it in other videos, but I'll mention it again, of course. Repetition is the best teacher. When you're shaping, always look down your board to see how your lines are flowing. You don't want those weird irregular lines. You want nice flowing lines. So as we look at this rail here, I think I have a pretty good contrast with a shadow here. You look at this bottom line, see how it comes to about here, and then it's irregular. It doesn't flow with the rest of the board. I have to fix that. So keep an eye out, make your lines flow. This looks weird, it's not good. So what I'm gonna do, and actually after looking at how I've done the rail bands, this is still too chunky. So I gotta foil this some more and probably take down the deck here a little bit. I might even bring in the hard rails on the bottom a tad, because while this will be nice and floaty, it might be just a little bit too chunky. Um, yeah, I don't know too much about shaping a board, number one, for a stand-up paddleboard, and number two, one that's going to be used for foiling. So I'm just kind of doing my best guess here with all the research I've done and looking at other boards. But that's part of the fun. But the takeaway from this is do not have this weird flowing line. We want to fix that. All right, I got this fixed up now. I took out that weird like hump right around here. I'm still gotta do a little bit more, but you get the idea. We gotta blend all this in, make a nice round edge on the top. The bottom we're gonna leave hard, just for the release of water. So I'm gonna blend all of these hard, sharp edges now. I wanna leave the deck as kind of flat as possible because I'm gonna be standing on it. And I want the extra float. I'm going to use a sanding screen this time to sand these down. I got this one from Green Light, but actually what this is, you can get these at Home Depot, depending on your Home Depot, or building supply store. They use these for sanding floors. What they do is they stick on the bottom of a machine, and it's a screen. And what it does is, what's nice about it is as you sand, the foam can get released through, so you don't have to keep clearing it. These work really well. So you can get big, huge sheets of them at Home Depot. This one here is like, I think 60 grit maybe, but you can get them in all kinds of different grits. So what I'm gonna do is just I might use my G-Rasp, clean up the edge a bit, then use this, round everything off. That'll be about it. Well, I'm going to end the video here. So to recap what I did in this video was I had the rough blank already shaped from the previous video. In this one, I did the template outline, traced it out, cut it out, shaped the rail bands, well, marked out the rail bands, shaped the rail bands, kind of waffled on kind of the design a little bit, made some course correction, put hard rails on the bottom, traced out the center channel, which leads me into what the next videos will be. I also have been working on a cassette for this for mounting the track boxes. This board won't have a tuttle mount, it'll have a track mount, and that's what this cassette's going to be. This helps distribute the forces of the load for the hydrofoil into this less dense foam, although this foam is denser than, say, like the crappy EPS foam. I'll shape the concave, which is why I use this block as a template to trace out the center, because I want the center to be flat, and then on either side will be a concave. I'm going to show you that I modeled and 3D printed this. This is going to be used to shape the bottom. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. It's a little bit different than just shaping a regular surfboard. There are definitely some different design principles on this. I guess the other thing I've started doing is I'm going to tell you how many hours I spent working on this so far. In the previous video, I believe I took about 7.5 hours making the blank, and then looking at my spreadsheet for shaping this, so taking it from the rough blank to the form that you see right here, that actually took me 6.5 hours. So yeah, when you're scratch building a board completely from just block foam, it's a lot of work. Definitely not probably going to do this for a living. Anyways, I thought it's kind of fun to include the number of hours that I've been spending on this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos. They'll be coming up real soon. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next video.